this Notre Dame conversation, because we saw them go deep in the playoff and do it in a way that I also never would have predicted at the beginning of the season. If you told me Notre Dame will have 5 season-ending injuries to very key players, including maybe their best defensive player, I would have said this is not possible because Notre Dame can't be that deep. Marcus Freeman has proven us wrong that Notre Dame can be that deep. Can Notre Dame continue to be that deep? Is this something that we should expect year in and year out now?
Well, I think that the thing here, Ralph, I'll go first, then I'll let you go. Yeah, but the thing that is interesting about Notre Dame, and I think it's the same with Oregon and South Carolina and all the teams like Illinois, for instance, maybe not so much as South Carolina and the other teams, but the depth in which you need to be now isn't the same as what it was 4 years ago. So they might, like how deep was Notre Dame, or is it just other teams that they were playing were shallower? That's the question. That may be it, yeah. So, I'll let you go, Ralph, but I feel like Notre Dame this year was still a very good team, and the analysis that I had of that bared out to be true, but I still don't know that this year's Notre Dame team would have been able to stay on the same field as 2020 Bama, because they played one of them this year, and they had a really good game, I thought, for what they were facing.
They came back at the end against Ohio State, but they were not as good as Ohio State.
They weren't in the game until way late. So, that to me, it's like, can Notre Dame be what they were this year again? I think absolutely. Can Notre Dame
which may be good enough to win the national title in the next 5 years?
Exactly. I just don't know that I ever think that Notre Dame could. I think it's conceivable that Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, maybe even Clemson, if they start working the portal a little bit better, could be as deep as teams that we've seen in the late, teens, early 20s, maybe. I don't know that Notre Dame can ever be that deep. I think that Notre Dame can be deep enough in the right year to win the national title, though.
Right. So you stole my thunder there, but that's okay. I'll spin off a bit. The question is, Notre Dame's sustainability is in part a question about the state of the sport.
Right.
Right. Like how is this the new state of play where you don't have to have a super team with, a talent composite score of over 1,000 to win a national championship? My guess is, as much as they have gotten better, if we're just talking about next year, listen, a lot's going to depend on how the quarterback plays, and if CJ Carr is the guy,
right,
or Steve Angeli is the guy. So from a very micro angle, I think they're probably going to have a fair amount of talent coming back on defense. Their offensive line should be amazing, and it's probably going to come down to the quarterback. So, which makes me think that Notre Dame is clearly in position to be a consistent playoff team. Whether they can get back to the national championship game and then maybe take it one step further, I think is more of a global discussion about the state of the sport.
Busy mornings, working lunches. I got the solution for you. This is the Huel Black Edition. 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, 7 grams of fiber. This is a meal in a bottle, and it's a godsend when you are a very busy parent, when you're a very busy person in general. I can grab one in the morning. That's my breakfast. Gets me through to lunch. My wife will take one to work. My kids will grab them if they need a quick meal and they don't have time to forage for something or cook something or get me to cook something. It's a great deal. So right now, go to Huel.com. That's Huel.com. Use the code Staples15 for 15% off plus a free gift on your first purchase of $75 or more. Huel.com, Staples15, 15% off plus free gift, your first purchase of $75 or more. You will not regret it, because there's going to be a day when you are incredibly busy. You're like, what am I going to do? I'm starving. I need to get through to lunchtime. I got to work. How am I going to handle this? You grab a bottle of Huel. They take care of you. I would agree with that. And the thing is, if Ari and I are right, because Ari and I have said this a million times since the season ended, there will not be a team like Ohio State there won't be a 2024 Ohio State in 2025.
Yeah.
Where they're just loaded to the gills with old, really good players.
Well, and that's the other thing too with Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's team had a little bit of this too.
They had some old, really good players.
Yeah. And they might be one of the schools that is best suited to get the old teams,
because you don't really want to transfer out of Notre Dame until you get the Notre Dame degree.
Right. I think they are. If part of the new state of college football is we're going to have some older teams that are going to close the gap on the 3-and-done heavy teams by simply having a few extra 4th and 5th year guys, 22 and 23 years old. I think Notre Dame is situated to have those types of teams maybe more frequently than a lot of the other contenders.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that.
This is the sort of stuff I guess we need to start thinking. Exactly.
That's why I'm here.
That's why we have the ombudsman.
Yeah. Like the Notre Dame, the way that place is and the type of person that goes there to begin with is the type of person that might want to stay longer.
Right. You don't choose that to say, well, if I'm not playing after a year, I'm out. You choose Notre Dame because in part you want to get a Notre Dame degree. Because if you're being recruited by Notre Dame, you're also being recruited by a lot of other places that are good at football that put people in the NFL. And you're picking that probably in part because you would like that degree or be part of that alumni network. So it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I wonder if that will be something that the Michigans and the Notre Dames and those schools can hang their hats on.
I think being able to recreate that Michigan model, and I'm always going to refer to it as the Michigan model.
The 2023 Michigan. Yeah.
And frankly, Washington did it too that year.
Yeah. I would say Ohio State did it last year.
And they absolutely did it last year. But being able to create what I'm going to always think of as the Michigan model and how often we can do that going forward, again, is going to be a big story in terms of the state of college football in this new era.